And you know
That's
what?
very interesting, huh?
There's a surprise today.
What is it?
We are actually connected with Bryan himself. All right, let's welcome him.
Where is he?
To the show.
Hi,
Hi,
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. How is everyone? I've been watching your news.
Oh, thank
We
you.
are doing
Good.
great. Now, our first question is, when did you first join your family business? And really, what motivates you to do so? Because most people
Your age?
yeah,
Choose this.
would think twice, right?
Yeah.
To be dealing with this stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. The first time when I was introduced to sort of like the business, I was also a bit skeptical towards it. The reason why I got into it was after graduation, I couldn't get employed for a year. And my dad basically said, like, you know, you should at least try to help out my business until you get like a proper job. So that is how I got into it, and it was like 8 years ago.
Is that true that you're also acting?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's
How do you know?
yeah. I mean, what kind of acting is it? I mean, is it really hard to find acting jobs during the pandemic? So you were sort of like pushed to, you know, change your path and doing something even better than acting, perhaps.
That is exactly what happened. So during the pandemic, all of the production has stopped. And for me, I was trying to figure out a way for me to grow as a person. So then I've always been wanting to work on this business idea that I have, which is Earth Recycling Services. And I think that during the pandemic, it allows me to sort of like put my focus towards the company instead of my acting. So I'm glad that I'm here talking to everyone.
Wow. Well, your acting skill really shows as well. We're doing this interview.
Okay, by the way, Bryan, I'm curious, what actually your mission for the company itself?
Right. So for mission of the company, actually, to be honest, we see a lot of like wastages in Singapore. So most of the time, I think across the world, like people has the tendency of just wanting to buy more. And like, for example, like a piece of furniture, if like there's a little scratch or like if it makes a little sound, then people will generally just want a new one. So there's actually a lot of like wastages of good condition items in Singapore. So the mission for me personally is to try to encourage people to reuse the items as much as possible and to sort of like adopt like the lifestyle of using secondhand goods. And for the main mission of my company is I hope that in future I'll be able to set up like a facility whereby I'm able to sell these sort of like secondhand items to people so that everyone can afford it. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
So, oh, sorry.
That's okay. I'm just very curious because he's such a millennial, and this is usually done by older people.
Yes.
You know, especially in regards to karunggoni. But your dad has been always in the industry as well, right?
No.
Is it a different
So,
type?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so where did you get the inspiration from? Is it from Singapore, or did you find a way to do it better and to apply it in Singapore from other countries, for example?
For me personally, for my own business, for the disposal service, so at the end of the day, I will still be having all these items and like the photo that you have shown. So basically what we do is we try to reduce as much wastage in Singapore as much as possible. So like all sort of like, for example, washing machine, right? We will like dissect them and we'll make sure that we can reduce the waste and we recycle as much as possible.
Okay. Now, you've been doing this business for quite a while. And from our point of view, it has proven to be a somewhat creative and lucrative business with potentially high returns. Now, what is your thought on this?
There is definitely potential in this market. However, it is really a tough job. So like I work every single day, like we operate every day. So we open from Monday till Sunday, no rest. So the only time we get to rest is during like Chinese New Year, which is one of the biggest holiday in Singapore. So yeah, I think there's always a perspective where if people would see me for just earning like money, but there's also like a lot of hard work and struggles.
Wow, such an inspiring story. But what actually your key to starting this kind of business?
My key of starting this kind of business, it's like I've said, like it's because there's so many wastages in Singapore. So when we receive them, it's also like a waste to throw it away. And apart from that, if we do not sort of like dismantle these items, they will just go straight to like landfill or incineration, which is not good for the environment and also for the company.
Right. I mean, how much of a burden or capacity can you accept every day? I mean, do you have any certain limit? And do you typically collect all types of materials, or is that any specific ones?
So for my dad's business, we collect almost everything except for plastics, glass, and wood. Because within our capacity, that it's out of reach. So we just try to sort of like recycle the rest, which is sort of like aluminum, stainless steel, wires, coppers, brass, papers. So those are sort of like within our capacity. And in terms of volumes, so I think we deal about 10 tons of metal itself in a month.
Whoa. Wow. For us Indonesians, maybe almost, not almost all of us, but many of us have been to Singapore before.
Yeah.
And you know what? One thing that we notice is that we cannot really find old cars in Singapore.
That's right.
Is that right? Because the government has this policy where you cannot really use...
You have to dump the old car.
You have to dump the old car. Now, could you please tell us more about this? And do you also accept like old cars and recycle that? Maybe tell us more about it.
Okay, so it is true, and also the cars in Singapore is extremely expensive. So we do have. So basically, like you've said, like all the cars go through like a 10 years period, and then you could choose to sort of like renew the car, as in like the COE we've mentioned, which is like the permit you pay to use the car, right? So in terms of the recycling aspect, we do get often, for example, from mechanics, when they sort of like they send their car to repair, and then the parts they can sell it to us for as metals.
Interesting, yeah. But you also established the Earth Recycling Center before, right? So how did it start?
No, so basically for me, it's easier as a startup business. Obviously, like I don't really have a lot of capital. So the way I started it is to really bind my dad's business and mine together. So when I take over the business, I'll be able to sort of like have it all set up already.
All right. Well, I mean, you have a degree in business management. Do you feel like it really helps you doing the business that you are in right now? And also, we're curious to know, what about the response from your friends, looking at you decluttering things every single day and maybe finding some cockroaches or things like that, you know? It's not things that is too cool for the millennials, perhaps, but how do you find your friends' responses so far?
My friends are all used to me right now, but initially when I first started 8 years ago, their thoughts were like, are you crazy? You have a degree, why do you need to do this? And so for me, it's really about sort of like finding what you want to do. And obviously for me, when I first started, I didn't even want to be in this business, okay? But it sort of like grows on me the more that I do this. And also in terms of, for example, the degree, right? So I feel that the degree itself gave me sort of like a framework on how to sort of like work out a business. but most of the knowledge comes from like learning on the job.
All right. Now, I would like to ask your opinion. We all know that many millennials right now are somewhat too picky about jobs, you know? And perhaps they could end up being unemployed. Now that you're running a business that is not very, how to say it, not very popular among people your age, now could you please give them advice or words of encouragement regarding this matter?
Okay, so for me personally, I feel that opinion doesn't matter as long as it is something that you are willing to do. And like you can have all the kind of different jobs, like big jobs, like with high pay. But at the end of the day, if you don't sort of like, you can't bring yourself to work, I think that is also sort of like a wasted opportunity. And apart from that, I think what I could say is like there's nothing wrong with doing any job, and most importantly, as long as you're a good person, you don't hurt anyone in the process of your decision, then that would be great.
Okay, and by the way, I'm also curious about your dream and your end goal for your business. Maybe for the near future, what's actually your plan and what's actually your dream?
My dream for the business?
Yes.
Okay, so it's really to expand the business, hopefully to have a bigger team, because now it's almost like a one-man show on my end, because I will be coordinating like the social media, all this, answering the calls, and also doing like the manual labor at the store. So hopefully to expand it in the future and to really sort of like set up my own furniture store. To sort of like allow access for people towards secondhand goods.
Yeah, what about going overseas, like, you know, to your neighbor country like Indonesia? We've got a lot of waste as well here. So maybe you can help out. I mean, is there any plan to come or to, you know, further expand your business to outer countries?
Yes. So right now there's no plans as of yet, because I'm planning to establish my brand within Singapore to make sure that it is stabilized. And if once I am able to sort of like make it more of like a go-to company, like a well-known company that people can trust, then that is when I will sort of like try to branch out and try to collaborate with people around the world.
So this is still paving to that big dream, right?
Yeah. Bryan, our last question. We all know that right now the pandemic is getting better, especially there in Singapore. You guys are living with a virus without, you know, very strict measures like 2 years ago. Are you planning to go back to the acting
perhaps?
Yes, to the acting world?
Is there any schedule soon that we can, you know, maybe when we come around to Singapore and we can watch you act?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you for asking. I feel that ever since the pandemic and having my own business, I think that I've been just very overwhelmed in a good way, because like things are picking up, I'm getting the right attention, and I definitely do miss going into acting, because I did like commercials, TV, sort of like a short TV series, but I really do need to set sort of like time aside to really like, you know, go back to acting, because that is what I really wanted to do initially before I get into this business. So now I'm just trying to find like a perfect balance, and hopefully I'll be able to go back to acting.
Wow,
hopefully, and then we can brag. Hey, we've talked to that guy.
Yeah, we've talked to that actor, you know. Well, thank you so much, Bryan, for sharing your very, very insightful business, and also hopefully this can be, you know, an inspiration to a lot more millennials out there, because it's a part of the responsibility to our beloved planet Earth, don't you think?
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Bryan.
Thank you, Bryan.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.